Welcome, guys. I'm sitting here cracking up at the dog. She is literally doing everything in her power to beg for more treats right now, which of course she gets, but they gotta be broken real teeny tiny. Otherwise, yeah, she's a spoiled brat. So, welcome, guys. It's an Aloha Monday. Who got had an awesome weekend? Who is still in the middle of their weekend? And who is ready for this next week coming up? It is gonna be there's a lot going on, gang. Um this week, as many of you guys who've been watching know, Wednesday we have the rally for Ariel, where we're going to be pushing to have her adoption and related records unsealed. And also, we can actually get a better idea about what is going on so we can focus on changes to the system which are truly needed. And focus on what actually is going to make a difference as wants a treat as compared to just hit and miss on things. So, some real quick hi, hey there's first of all, I don't know if she's gotten herself into chat yet, but I'll say it again when she does get here. I really, hey, Click and Go Boots. I love you, my dear. Thank you so much for upgrading, gang. Okay, Click and Go has been a member here and decided to upgrade to an Ohana membership. So she is officially a full force Ohana member. Yay! No, thanks, Click and Go. And guys, Click and Go has actually been talking to me the last few days. She's been out there helping with a case. I'll let her talk about whichever case it is. But she's been out there on, okay, boots to the ground, trying to help people who are looking for someone who is missing right now. And I'll let her tell that story someday. But I give her huge props because when missing affects you and comes close to you, it affects us all no matter what. But when it comes close to you, there's something real. It's just, yeah. Crystal's heading off to get her verse done. If you guys are, okay, Christian, okay, God, believe in God, like to have Bible verses on a regular basis, check out Crystala's channel. That's what she does on her community tab. Is she posts a new one. It's Click and Go. Okay, Click and Go is letting everyone know she's from Texas. So I did say, Click and Go, thank you so much. And for going out there and helping to support those who are looking for a someone who's missing right now who needs looked once you announce exactly where, because I know Texas is a big state. But yeah, that was a huge step for, being out there for them. So thank you. Who else we got in chat? We got Mr. Save Robbie. And by the way, yes, Cristola mentioned, don't forget to answer the question. We got a poll. I want to see what you guys have to say about that because we're trying to make changes now. So, but love you, Robbie. Thank you, Miss Weathers, at your service. I love you, Robbie. And Miss Cristola. Yeah, thank you, Click and Go. And definitely, the poll, everyone, because like I said, we're trying to make changes right now in the system. Here in Hawaii, we're going full force now. And I want to see what you guys have to say about that. Most of you guys know about the system and where the changes are needed. Okay, so if we had to choose one thing that you feel we could start changing, what would that be? There's a couple ideas up there. Run with it. See what you guys think. In the bushes, hello, hello, my dear. I hope you're doing. Do we still got the? Yep, we do. Yay! And who else we got here? Chris. Chris is another one who's always getting the word out about people. And also, thank you, Chris. Oh my God, this dog is nuts today. So, Grandma Sherry. Hey, love you, Grandma Sherry. How you doing, my dear? And stopping. Hey, Giddy. Smooches back, my dear. Love you, love you. And let's see, KK. We're keeping KK in our thoughts, prayers, all that. Hopefully, you'll get to go home soon. We're crossing our fingers, saying a couple prayers that you'll be able to go home soon because you need to get. And missing, and then Mr. Wrigley. Wrigley is begging me for food right now. Wrigley's horrible. Rowdy's here. Hey, Rowdy, how you doing, my dear? And Daydream Ride, how you, my dear? We got everyone in the house today. Oh, I love and all my good old buds here. Awesome. So we're going to cover a couple different things, guys. Okay. We don't have a new case today. Okay. Instead, there is, hey, Rowdy. Yes, you got the membership. The other day, we gave out 5 free memberships. Rowdy got one. So we're going to see who else we can get memberships to. And also, okay, give it a little while and we'll give out some free memberships again today. Actually, that does remind me I need to bring up the page so I can actually do it. Amber, how you doing, Amber Riot? Hello, 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 my dear. So we'll see if we can get any more puppy emojis out for people. So, but yeah, we have a lot of different cases going on right now. And we all know I try to bring a new case each week. And there's a couple cases that are so close to me right now. I really am having a hard time. Okay, it's almost a moment to moment, day to day, talking to family members, trying to see what we can do to make changes and things like that. And I know they're really affecting a lot of hearts out there, people who truly care and want to know what's going on. You hopefully, Chris, if you don't want one, make sure to not join in, because I think that's one of the things that happens sometimes. I know some people are like, give out things so everyone can join in with things. So we're going to talk about number one. We're going to start off with Audrii. I know a lot of you guys, we're all following Audrii. There's a couple of you guys who are in the state, in Texas, and what's going on with Audrii and her case has been very close to you. So we're going to watch her update from this morning that the police did this afternoon to answer the poll. What was Amber's thing? To answer I feel that children in the system should have yearly checkups with an actual physician. You know what, Amber? Wait till you hear something we're going to share as part 2 of today's discussion. Part 2 actually addresses something kind of in a roundabout way there. Those of you who remember Geanna's story, there was a 4-year-old adopted brother, the only other adopted foster child in the house. He was later on put into the hospital. Information is coming out now. This child was looked at by a doctor, connected to CPS and all, and who said, oh yeah, he's fine and all that. Go ahead, put him back into a new foster home when the Blosses were arrested. A few days later, when a certified child abuse physician came in and looked at him, that physician was like, this kid needs to be in the hospital. So we had a child for multiple days, where a doctor said it was okay for him to be out in a new foster home, even with everything going on. It's really, guys, when we go into this article that I came across, John Hill does some amazing work and articles. We're going to go over this because tied into exactly what Amber Riot just said. We should be able to, if a doctor's looking at these kids, we should be getting a good picture of who are they safe? Are they being taken care of and all that? Even in this case, it did not quite work that way. And we got Cooter in the house. Cooter's in the house. Cooters, cooties, Cooter. Okay, something like that, yeah? I love Cooter's name. What can I say? And Cassie just likes treats. That's all. So, and we got Seal in the house. How you doing, Seal? Love ya, love ya, love ya. And then last, after we go through that, as well as an update, the other thing with Geanna is a little girl died. Hey, PJ, little girl died while under the care of the system. And she hasn't been buried yet. Her body has not been released to be buried yet. Not because of, from what we understand, autopsies or anything like that, but because no one knows what to do. Who does her body belong to? New issue being pulled up in the Geanna case. I don't make these things up, guys. These are real. It makes no sense whatsoever that a poor little girl can't even be put to rest because now people aren't sure exactly, what should we do? And there's so much red tape that needs to be crossed. This little girl needs to be put to rest, plain and simple. And then last, Ariel, just a reminder, guys, and I am going to stream this. Hopefully, Wi-Fi will work for me. We're doing a rally for Ariel Sellers, Isabella Kalua on next. Oh my God, this Wednesday, we are asking for her adoption records, related documents to be unsealed so we can see what the hell's going on and where can we make these decisions. So that's the plan for today. What all we're going to go, hey, Ramblin', how you doing, Ramblin'? That's what we're going to go through and address, look at, and also let's go ahead and got a lot to deal with today. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Thank you, Nightbot. Once in a while, Nightbot does a good job with stuff. Guys, if you want to make a difference, okay, there's so many things we can do, okay, and so many things that you guys are already doing. But look into the CASA system. I've asked Nightbot to throw up the website every now and then, but please consider either donating to the program or becoming a CASA yourself. And also, okay, let's see what we got. We're going to start with our press conference earlier. Put a 1 in chat if you've seen this, put a 2 if you have not. I know there's some people who actually haven't seen it. People had work, things like that, and weren't able to. Some of you have seen it. Okay, this is going to be a second or even a third time for you to look at what's going on. I would love your guys' thoughts as we go through this because nothing's going to be a surprise to you, but we can discuss it as we go through it. And so, okay, here come our ones. So we're going to go through this real quickly for those people who had to work during the day and may not have gotten to it yet. And then we'll kind of get a better idea of where things are with Audrii. Chris is a 2. I know a couple other 2s out there also. So awesome. So let's go ahead. I do have, I think, closed captioning on in this, so that should help out. I hope it helps out. But let's go for it. Okay. Oh, you guys do not need to see my up next.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Craig Cummings, Texas Department of Public Safety. Today we're here to provide some updates on the search for 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham, who went missing on Thursday of last week. I'm also joined by Polk County Sheriff Byron Lyons and Polk County District Attorney Shelley Sitton. I want to say that investigators are following active leads based on tips and evidence that we have gathered. The videos submitted to investigators by the community have been very helpful. We're looking for and asking the public's help for additional video on FM 3126 that shows the highway. This video would have been on Thursday, February 15th between 6:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. So again, that's video from FM 3126 on Thursday, February 15th between 6:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. that shows the highway. I also want to announce the Polk County Crime Stoppers.
Breaking this real quickly on that. So they're wanting this. There's a lot of things. I actually posted a page of a bunch of different things they're asking for. Guys, right now, they believe Stephen was the last one to see her. But they don't have that proof, black and white proof. That's what this video they're hoping will show. Okay, so if someone out there happens to have video, recorded things, whatever it is, that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to create that case. So hopefully that'll help out with that.
Reward has been increased to $10,000 for information leading to the arrest and prosecution of the person responsible for Audrii's disappearance. We are asking the public, based on the evidence that we have been getting right now, to stay away from Scenic Loop FM 3277 unless you have a need to be there. That is a potential point of interest in this investigation. We've had a lot of people driving down there. Please stay away. Let the investigators do what they are doing and our volunteers that they are doing so that we can bring Audrii home.
So we're definitely getting the idea that they're zeroing in on something. They're whether it's her or further evidence or whatever, they're zeroing in, and they don't want to have to deal with crowd control and stuff like that. And they're just asking people for help with that. Mark, I've honestly thinking that there was some sort of setup going on. I don't see why he would have contacted mom during that time frame if there wasn't something like that going on. Seal is saying they have the Exxon clerk's info about seeing him at 9 a.m. in Cold Springs. So see, they're building this case. This case is being built right in front of us, and also bring up other children in a bad light. Oh yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, if we can try not to, because we're all trying to do whatever we can to do whatever is positive in our view. So, except for the obvious, you got it. So, okay, here we go.
We also want to say that we're thankful for the Polk County District Attorney's Office for their continued legal advice as they provide that to investigators in this continued search for Audrii. The investigators have given McDougal, who was arrested Friday on an unrelated charge, several opportunities to cooperate, and we remain hopeful that he will begin helping in this case. Now, we also want to address some rumors that have been circulating. McDougal is not required to register as a sex offender. We would refer you to the various counties that prosecuted McDougal for inquiries regarding his criminal history. And we also want to say that McDougal resides in a camper behind the residence where Audrii lives with her father, grandparents, and other family. The family does have a relationship with McDougal. And with that, I want to turn it over to Polk County Sheriff Byron Lyons for some remarks for him before we open it up for questions.
So this guy has been very interesting. When I started watching everything, I was really happy to see him coming in. He is fighting, I think it was bronchitis or pneumonia, something like that. So he's having some problems with that, but he's able to. Guys, again, law enforcement is really trying to give us the information we need to kind of keep us in that happy zone that we need to be in. I know there's a lot of other things going on out there about coverage, okay? Family asking that people stop going too far with things and stuff like that. But also understanding that everyone cares about, okay, Audrii, and want to know what's going on. And so the police have really done a great job on this so far, in my eyes.
Good afternoon. Since Audrii was reported missing, we have been working with investigators and volunteers, doing everything we can to bring Audrii home. Unfortunately, I've had bronchitis and it has impacted my ability to speak. So that is why I want to say first, thank you to the Department of Public Safety and to the FBI for assisting me with the social media and my media briefings. I also want to take a moment to thank all the investigators and the volunteers and members of the community who are working to bring Audrii home. The outpouring of support from the tips and from the videos and the donations of food and water has just been inspiring. As a community, as a county, as a state and a nation, the search for Audrii has brought out some of the most exceptional people that I have come to know. I have been in contact with the family, and they want everybody to know that they thank you and they appreciate all the prayers and how you've kept Audrii and them in your hearts. And they just ask that you continue to pray for them and Audrii's being able to bring her home. And I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has helped in this case. Any other questions?
It amazes me how when things like this do happen, people come together. Even among our own group, we have people who are out there right now trying to help out. People come together for the good at that time. And that's what it should be about. Okay, not all the other BS and all. It's about that good, wanting to be there, wanting to help those people who are putting in the hours and hours and hours of being on their feet. Okay, trying to solve this and bring Audrii back to her family. So, okay, questions. Here we go.
Now that you're looking for where McDougal's vehicle was the morning that Audrii disappeared, are you able to confirm that he was the last person to see McDougal?
Was he the last person to see?
He was supposed to be taking her to the dropping off at the bus stop, And we do feel at this point that he was the last person who seen Audrey.
Did he do
There's-
that regularly? Did he take her to the bus stop every day? Was that something that he routinely did?
There has been information found that there were some occasions that he did drop her off at the bus stop or even take her to school if she missed the bus.
There's rumors flying about that McDougal has confessed. Would you address that rumor?
McDougal has not confessed. He has been talking with some of the investigators, but at this point in time, he has not confessed.
That scene of interest that you're asking the public to stay away from, can you expand on that? What was found there? What led you there? Why are you asking the public to stay away?
You know, and that's kind of why one of the reasons that we're asking for the videos. We're trying to piece together a timeline of where he's been and the travel that he took, the roadways that he took. So this area is just one that's in particular that we can say that we know that he was in, and so we're making sure that we do extensive search of those areas. But the problem is that when we have a lot, and I know that people are concerned and people want to help, but a lot of time when we bring too many people into an area, it hinders our efforts in being able to try to find and locate evidence.
Do you guys know if that was Audrey's backpack that was found near the dam?
The backpack.
We feel strongly today that backpack that was found is a high probability that it's going to be Audrey's.
There's a lot of water around her home.
Hey guys, one thing, I'm gonna pause it real quickly. Actually, I think it was just Mark just said something here about premeditation and people kind of grooming, things like that. I know there's a lot of people who are also trying to figure out, are we talking AM, okay, where she's no longer with us? Or could there be trafficking connected with this? So many possibilities. And I think that's another reason why it's so important for us, for them to come up with a solution, so figure out what happened and bring her home, so that way family doesn't have all those questions that we have. And yeah, click and go that he has not confessed. Okay, at the same thing, I'm kind of not surprised he hasn't confessed either. From what I'm hearing, he is going ballistic in jail right now. He is literally acting crazy. He could also, I wonder if he's actually dealing with some detox issues. But he has been, from what I heard on another live, throwing feces around and doing all sorts of, yep, exactly, rambling. You and I would just say, yeah, tossing the poop around, exactly. Now whether he's trying to set himself up for a potential insanity defense, or if this is something tied to detox or whatever, God only knows at this point. So, but the whole thing between her being with us or not being with us is really something I kind of fight back and forth with myself right now.
Investigation and that foul play to be suspected. Could you expand on that? What crime is being investigated specifically? And could you expand on the foul play suspected?
Okay, yes, we do feel as though we are investigating a criminal investigation. And at this point in time, as we conduct our investigation, we are not leaving out or adding in any just charges. We are investigating the evidence as if we find any, and then we'll let that be determined, once we get all the evidence put together on what charges, if any, will be filed.
McDougal's 07 charge, 08 conviction for enticing a minor with intent to commit a felony out of Audrii County. The case information publicly accessible over the weekend and on a holiday is very limited on that. Was that felony intended a sex crime?
And be honest with you, I don't know. I can't answer that right now because it's in another county. The only thing that I've been able to find out that it was not something that they were able to require him to register for as a sex offender.
Have law enforcement taken McDougal to the dam or the Trinity River since he's
Taking
been
him down.
arrested?
There have been some occasions where, on one occasion where we have taken McDougal, that he agreed to.
Sorry, pausing this for a second because I was talking with one of you guys earlier, right before, and we were trying to remember the name of the river, Trinity River. So in case you didn't hear that in the background.
To work with us and has taken us to certain locations.
She lives around water. Have you checked the water around her house?
Yeah. Could she have disappeared sooner based
You
off
know,
of it?
and see, one of the things in our investigation, when we conduct investigation, we want to make sure that we try to capture a good timeline. So even if we're looking at a projected time, say if it's 7, we still want to go to back up, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, because we want to know exactly what the individual or suspect or suspects may have been doing up until that point. Someone asked about water around.
Okay, gotta stop that for a second because Amber, yes. When they brought him out to the bridge, I don't think he was showing where he took Audrey. I think law enforcement was instead saying, fine, so you were fishing, so show us where you went fishing. So, yeah, that completely makes sense, trying to go and develop that timeline where they can actually get an idea where he was leading up to that. And it looks like Seal agrees with that. And so, yeah, you got it. So moving on.
The house.
Around the house, so has that area been searched?
That-
Okay.
That was the first area on the night that she was reported missing. Volunteers came together with law enforcement.
Yep.
That was the first area the subdivision searched.
Yeah, so sure, just to make sure I understand properly, so she didn't go missing before 7 a.m. She didn't go.
No.
She did go missing
No.
before 7 a.m.
No, let me take that.
6:45.
6:45 is when we felt like she went missing.
Okay, 6:45.
I'm hoping and praying that she's still alive. I am not giving up hope that we'll be able to bring Audrey home. So, yes, I am hoping that she yet is still alive.
They have to hope, guys. Like I just said, yeah, there's most likely we are looking at her no longer being with us. I think all of us kind of feel that. But there are still other possibilities here. Okay, possibilities they have to rule out. And for them, just mentally, guys, could you see working this type of case every day and not having hope? You have to have. If you don't have that, yeah, her backpack being wet screams foul play. I agree with what I think it was Seal said a second ago about, okay, just the idea that he probably just threw that backpack out. I have a funny feeling that's true. Sleuth, how you doing, my dear? Love you. Love you, love you. So yeah, definitely, and miracles do happen. Like I said, we don't know until we know the full answer. You have to sit there and be open to anything that could happen. Plain and simple. So let's keep it up.
And we're going to work just as hard to make sure that we do everything that we can to try to bring her home.
Sheriff, is there any other person of interest in this case?
Okay, we
Any
got
other
a couple
POIs?
questions at a time. Right here.
Would people be cooperative? Is he speaking with investigators? Is he not talking?
When you say is he being cooperative, I think that Mr. McDougal, he is what he's doing. On occasions, he will, and I use that word cooperate
Very lightly.
but he is somewhat, working and talking with the investigators. But we are very cautious on the information that he's giving.
Are you guys able
Sheriff, do
to
you have
count on
any other
GPS?
persons of interest in this case?
I would say this, that there are, at this point, Mr. McDougal is our main person of interest, but we are not ruling out anyone else who may be or involved or may not be involved. We are not just honing in on just this one individual. We're making sure that we're covering all stones.
And do you anticipate charges being filed in connection to this case anytime soon?
I anticipate that if the evidence presents itself that proves that Mr. McDougal has committed an offense or crime, that charges will be filed in him.
Amen. Charges, if they get to the point where they have all this together, pull the case together first. Make sure it's airtight. File the charges. And that's what they're doing. And click and go, exactly. Remember Elizabeth Smart. No one thought she was alive anymore. And she was. Yes, this is a different case, different situation, things like that, but there's always hope. And I think that's why it's so hard for families when they never find their loved one's body or something. Ariel, for example. Okay, when you don't have a body that you can go spend time with and things like that at the cemetery or whatever, that hope is always there. Even in a case like Ariel, where you've been told what the situation is, I'm sure there's that little thing at the back of your head that no matter what, that's what makes it so hard. And so was just, yeah, got to have all those ducks in a row. That's exactly it.
Polk County. So in speaking with the Rangers, we're just asking them, hey, take us to where in any places that you think or where you may have been.
The
And so
timeline.
he has done that on one occasion.
I think you hinted
Just
at the
once.
answer to this, but we've had a lot of community members approaching us saying they want to volunteer to help search. Is there a place for them in this search, or do you really need them to step back and let you
Where can
Okay,
neighbors go to help?
Kind of like I addressed
volunteer?
in my opening statement, is that I am so grateful for those who have came out and volunteered, raised their hands to want to participate. And yes, the volunteers have been great and have been very valuable to us. But one of the things that we have to do is that we have to limit and we have to make sure that we don't overdo it. Because remember, we are yet still, while we try to bring Audrii home, we are yet still making sure that if
Sounds
there's
great.
evidence or if there's anything that we need to capture or anything that we need to be able to retain, we want to make sure that we don't have so many people that we damage or destroy evidence at the time. So the way we are today, we had the volunteers meeting over at Tigerville's Park. And then as we needed them, we would send an officer over to get those folks and then take them into an area to help search.
Can I follow up on his question regarding the location where McDougal took you and other authorities? Could you share that location and
At this time right now, we don't want to share locations that he's taken us to, other than to say that there are multiple places of interest
They'll come.
that we have gone to and have made
In the
searches.
future,
and-
we'll find
And
out.
I'm sure before this day is out, we'll be searching other locations.
Because he did not
find
confess,
something
can you
there?
provide more context on why he's taking you to those places? What is he saying when he takes you there? Just, oh, this is where we drove, or?
And really, when it comes down to it, I wasn't there with those officers, and so I can't answer to exactly what was just said, other than these are just places that he instructed them to go.
Has McDougal made a claim that he dropped her off at the school bus?
No.
Was something recovered, Sheriff, from those locations? Is that where the backpack was found or other items were found?
The only thing at this point in time right now that I can speak to for sure is going to be that backpack.
Backpack.
He's giving you false leads?
You know, and that's the thing, is that we have to just continue to work all the leads that he's presenting to us. Whether or not they're false or not, it depends upon how it works out and how the investigators are able to put those pieces together.
Are you guys able
You don't know what's a false lead unless you follow up. You got to follow each and every one of these. Cooter. And have we heard anything from Grandma or Dad? You know, that's something I even was wondering a little while ago. I know we've heard from Mom. Okay, and now that not speaking up does not equate to guilt or innocence or knowledge or not knowledge or anything like that in reality. Okay, it could just have something to do with how you deal with information that comes your way. Okay, how upset you are and how you deal with that being upset and stuff like that. But it also can say things too. Okay, you know, it's all over the place with that. So, but yeah, I've wondered too. Yeah, it's very hard to hear the questions coming from the press itself. And I'm trying to repeat them, and it's been really hard. I would much rather hear my loved one was deceased than to never know where they were or what happened to. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Mom talked. I have not. Yeah, don't think I've heard anything from Grandma or Dad either. But I don't know if maybe I've missed something. I'm the first one to say, hey, I do miss things too. But I don't think I've heard of anything either. And you don't think, Roberta's saying you don't think so either. And also, okay, let's go ahead here and see where we are on this.
around with cell phone records, maybe like where he could be?
We are working with every tool made available to us, whether it be cell phone, whether it be video, which has been an awesome tool for us. We are using every tool made available to us to try to piece together a window or a picture of where he may have gone.
And I'm sorry, just to clarify, is he acknowledging that she never actually made it to the bus stop?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Just to clarify, is he acknowledging that she never actually made it to the bus stop?
At this time right now, he has not acknowledged that, whether or not she's made it, whether or not he dropped her off or she made it to the bus stop or not.
He's not saying anything.
Leaving the house with her?
Yes.
Oh, he did leave the house with her though.
It's off of the scenic loop. It's the well, let me say this. It's in the scenic loop area there near Tigersville Park. If I say on national television, don't go to this specific location, kind of defeating my purpose. But I am saying that there are officers that's in the area who are instructing people or directing people away from those areas. Please work with those officers if they ask you to turn around or they ask you to go into another location while they would search those areas.
Sheriff, you mentioned that he admits to leaving with Audrii Cunningham, and
Sorry, gonna stop for a second. Yeah, K9 just asked about the Facebook exchange. If you're talking, and I think you are, the text messages between Stephen and mom, yeah, we last week, I think it was Friday, if you go back, we went through them in detail, basically read every single one and discussed what was going on and what they can mean. Because honestly, guys, my gut is saying he was trying to set her up for something. I can't help but think that at this point. There was way too much gaslighting in those text messages for it to be anything but. Okay, yeah, it could be anything. Okay, yeah, but really gives me that feeling. Yeah, he was setting something up. Like I said, gaslighting was blatant in it. Okay, and then trying to get her one on one with okay, like that. It just was way too much there. Click and Go said the grandmother has legal custody of the child, but she allowed her granddaughter to stay with her son, Audrey's. Yeah, and he did not have the custody, and but she allowed. And then Stephen was living in a trailer on the property, from my understanding. Mark, great question there. I don't know if I have the answer to that one. I don't know if any of us have, other than the police, probably have that answer, but maybe we'll see if anyone in the group pops up. Yeah, I agree, Seal. It's just, oh my gosh, it's nuts once you go off there, in there. His plan, yeah, his plan probably was, probably very much so, get as his out and all.
now we know she's missing. What else do you need to charge him for a crime? Because the child is nowhere to be found.
Well, our thing is, and the district attorney's here. One of the things that we must do is that we must not jump to conclusions. We want to make sure that we take all the evidence that we have collected. Yes, he may have been the last person with her, and yes, she is missing at this time. But we want to make sure that whatever evidence that we collect and that we place on an affidavit today is going to be something that's going to hold up in the court later. It does us no good to prematurely charge him now, and then 3-4 months from now it get tossed out of court because we were moving too fast. So I ask you, please understand as we work carefully through this, because Audrey deserves this. She deserves us taking our time. She deserves us making sure that we do it right. She deserves to have her voice to be heard. And I want to make sure that we do that and we do it the right way.
Sheriff, one of the
Well said. Well, oh my God, I love this guy. I love this guy. Click and Go, thank you. I was waiting for you to actually make that comment before I actually let people know that. I was kind of walking right on the edge of that. Yeah, Click and Go and her husband actually were able to go to the vigil. And guys, pray for everyone involved. Okay. Like she just mentioned here, grandma isn't holding up well. Okay, I'm sure everyone involved is questioning decisions they made. And until we hear of one of those people actively knowing what they were doing, and I mean, keep them in your prayers. This is a lot. I know right now, okay, Gianna's family is going through the same thing of all of these questions and okay, knowing in their head, okay, as Gianna's dad said, that my baby probably yelled out for daddy and he wasn't there for her. Okay, so please keep these people and Click and Go. Thank you guys for being there and trying to help out. I know you went over and delivered stuff for some of the searchers to help them out and all that. So thank you so much, my dear. And what else did we have here before I go back to that? Yeah, sorry, it's no coincidence she goes missing the very next day. Yeah, no coincidence at all. Thank you, dear Christola, for bringing that. Thank you, actually. And, you guys know how I am. Assumptions are assumptions, and you guys know how I feel about that. Cooter, I'm hoping that wasn't his plan. And then when she didn't follow through, he takes it. Yeah, there's a lot of potentials in this. Okay. Part of me starts wondering, okay, like I said, even going in the trafficking route, was he hoping to do something to mom and then he put her in the direction of trafficking, hoping that, well, that now becomes his out. There's so many possibilities, guys. And that's where the assumptions become so hard because that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to fill in the blanks, guys. Yeah. Most heart watching. Yeah, exactly. And Seal, ooh, I just had another thought. Was it the plan to get rid of mom so she would never have contact? That's wow. Yeah. I think whatever the plan was, it wasn't any good. It was not good. No matter what that plan was, it was not a good thing. So okay, let's finish up. We just got a couple more minutes here
Cell phone
of
technique
this.
is called one of the cell phone techniques is called geo tracking.
Geo tracking on phones.
I will say this, we are using every tool made available to us to be able to work cell phones and videos, to be able to try to track his movements that morning.
So they are doing geo tracking.
Come to fruition and have they been eliminated?
There have been other persons that we have certainly have looked at, and at this point in time, we're not ruling anyone out. You know, at this point, we are still, it's an active investigation, and everybody's going to be looked at, everybody's going to be maintained until we can definitely say for sure either you are or you're not a party to this investigation.
What are the details about this aggravated assault charge that he's currently in jail for? Can you expand on that?
The details, what I can go to in on that was, it was an aggravated assault that took place
While he's in
August, I
jail.
believe, and that in that investigation, there were some, during that investigation, there was some circumstances that took place that would not allow us to be able to arrest him at that time, and he would not cooperate, would not basically lawyer up, would not talk with the investigators. But on, I think Saturday, Friday night, whichever night he was arrested, he did make the statement to that offense, which at that point in time he was arrested for.
I think it was Seal earlier who said, I'm amazed this guy was even out on the streets with how many issues he had run into and stuff like that. And I agree. I'm like, the fact that he was out and walking around, I mean, this is not a guy who has never really been around or just once or twice. He's got a long history. And on one level, it made it easier for them to arrest him and get him off the street. Not okay. I mean, Sleuth talked the other day about if you look over on Facebook, he was trying to sell a bunch of items on Facebook. Looks to me, I agree with her, like he might have been ready to run. And so this allowed them to get him in. Okay, I think he's, what is it, a $50,000 bond that he's on right now? So they were able to really kind of get all of that pulled together in a nice little packet. So we didn't have anything else going on. And yeah, he was a career criminal, plain and simple, career criminal for sure.
It was a hit, aggravated assault. He assaulted another individual,
Male, female?
male.
We've also heard that he has, obviously a violent criminal history. There's also rumors out there that he has affiliation with the Aryan Brotherhood. Are you able to confirm that?
We have heard those same things, and we've been told that there is an affiliation with the Aryan Brotherhood. Those are some things that we will come back after we are able to get Audrii located, and we will tie those things down to prove whether or not he's affiliated or not.
Are you guys doing an extensive search for any evidence in the house, the RV, the home itself?
Those things have been done. Yes, ma'am.
Time for 2 more questions.
Have you talked with Audrei's dad or family members?
Yes,
Are they cooperating?
very much so.
Can you expand a little bit more on the relationship between Audrei's family and him? I know you mentioned he lives in an RV on their property, but were they friends prior, anything like that?
And for this to be our last question, to answer your question is that basically the way it was explained to us is that he was a friend of the family, a friend of the father, and he was allowed to live there in a trailer behind the house, and he was a friend of the family's. Um, and basically that's why he was there, allowed to live there. I appreciate what everyone has done. I appreciate your helping us get Audrey's story out there. And thank you so much for your diligence in this. And I ask you, as you continue to work with us and allow us to tell Audrey's story, allow us to work this investigation properly and understand when it doesn't go or doesn't appear to go the way that you feel it should. Trust us that we're getting it done and we're trying our best to do it the right way. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love this guy. This guy
Thank
is
you.
great. He is great. And with that, that finished up the press conference earlier today for Audrey. So kind of knowing exactly where things are. There are no we still have not found her yet. They do have Stephen McDougal in custody. Um they are getting the whole, I think they pretty much know what their case needs to look like, and they're now just trying to gather all of the different steps that need to be gathered. Okay, make a nice clean tight case, because I don't think this guy is going to speak up. I don't think he's going to say anything to anyone. I really have a funny feeling that whatever we get is what we get from him. Okay, they're going to have to find other ways to pull this case together. I don't know why, but I'm already even getting the feeling that I would not be surprised to see him try to go insanity route at this rate, just based off of his behavior currently from what we're hearing. It's just, yeah. And you know what Christola just said, what's gotten a hold of all these grown-up people who are supposed to protect their kids doing these heinous things is really disturbing. Yeah. Whether it is in families where it is a parent there, or the system, which we're going to be moving into now, the system and how it's okay. And our next two cases, Ariel's case is going to be a fairly quick thing. However, I do want to go more in depth, because what's going on with Geanna gets more and more maddening, more and more crazy, more and more totally infuriating. I mean, I don't think it can get more infuriating than it already has, and then it does. And so moving that one over. Okay, we have two things I want to go through with Geanna. Okay, as many of you guys, first of all, Amber here. They know what happened. They just making sure they can prosecute with or without a body. Exactly. Because guys, in reality, they may never find her body. There's a chance for that. And when you don't have that, the evidence you can pull is even more important. Okay, you have to have all that other evidence, and they've got to pull it all together. The more video they can get, the more eyewitnesses, the more all those things. Yeah, it has to happen. So they are really working this, and I think they're working damn good at it right now. And fortunately, it has not been raining since before Valentine's, so there's a good opportunity to find evidence. That's great. That's great. That's always been the back of my head. You think they'll find her canine? I hope so. I really hope so. For the family, I really, really hope so. Yes, it's great for a case and all that, but for the family and I always talk about in Hawaii, we have this thing where, and I'm sure on the mainland they do this too. Okay, we take dinner or lunch. Here's my lunch that I never ate. And we take it over to the cemetery, and we all sit on beach towels around the grave site, and we eat dinner or lunch. Okay, in many cultures, they'll actually bring food for the person we've lost. And that's, I hope, just so that they have that closure. And also, so have two things here I wanted to go through. One is going to be huge, and guys, be prepared. This article from John Hill is infuriating, but and what it tells us, it's not Geanna, but it's her 4-year-old Hanai, or adopted sibling. Okay, not biological sibling. It was the 4-year-old who was adopted into the family. Also, we're finding out more about his treatment and what happened after they found Geanna, to the little 4-year-old. And guys, we need to speak up on this. We can't let this disappear. That's why I'm not letting this case disappear, gang. Okay, just like Ariel, it's not going to disappear. But first, okay, KHON actually did some reporting. KHON is one of our local news stories here about Geanna. And actually, let me real quickly make a quick change over to Gianna's picture so you guys can go through and see exactly where we are from looking there. Before I close tonight, can I give you, okay, yeah, will do. If not today, I have some, but I haven't gone deep dive into it. So I'll give you some basics on it. And yes, I will definitely remind me before I finish in case I go into my head too quickly. But I've starred your comment to remind me. So for sure. So couple things with Gianna's family. Actually, let me just pull this up. I'm not going to read this whole article, gang, but just to show you what is being discussed with it. Okay, right now, the family wants to put Geanna to rest. For those of you who don't know Gianna's case, Geanna was killed by her legal guardians. She was abused. She was beat up. She was malnourished. She was kept in a small 3.5 foot by 7 foot room with her arms tied to her body with duct tape, just like that, with a cover over her eyes that was then duct taped and circled around the top of her head and her eyes. Okay, she was missing the top of her nose arch. And there's pictures, there's video. This is horrible what this little 10-year-old had to go through. And now, though, she continues to go through shit. Excuse my language, but that's basically what this is. She continues to go through shit. Okay, she needs to be laid to rest. And as of right now, the family hasn't been able to move forward on setting up a funeral for her, not because of autopsies or stuff. Maybe that's something going on, but I don't even think they know that right now. Okay. But the reason why is because no one really kind of knew what to do with her to begin with. She had a legal guardian. Those legal guardians are now allegedly her murderers. Okay, allegedly they are the ones who killed her. So do they have the rights? No, they do not have the rights over her. That's the difference between, say, her and Ariel. Ariel was adopted by her monster killers, okay? Allegedly again. But because Ariel was adopted, they had custody of her. She still has custody. They still have, okay, the Kaluas still have custody over Ariel and her siblings, which is ridiculous that all these years later, they still have custody over those children. Okay, Ariel's family want to give her name back, Ariel, not Isabella, Ariel. And they can't do it because the Kaluas still have custody. And so that's one of the things. But in the case of Geanna, it's a little different. Legal guardianship. So the Blosses do not have custody over her remains. I have a hard time seeing this as remains, but that's what it is. Okay. So then the question comes, if they don't have the right, okay, the rights to her remain, burying her and all that, who does? Okay, the problem comes, and as you can see here, okay, let me pull down here. Okay, foster care then goes in and says, well, the next step would be, do the parents, biological parents, have the rights? If their rights were ever stripped, then they don't even have the rights. And also there was that question, who has the rights to bury this baby and give her, okay, her final resting place? Okay, Department of Human Service did finally come out and kind of clear some of this up, saying that DHS does not have jurisdiction over the remains of this child. However, DHS will offer the family any benefits available through existing programs to help them honor Geanna's memory and to provide closure to the family and our community. So, according to that, okay, and as you see here, we should be able to move forward and have a burial for her. The problem was, yeah, and see, that's where we've been running into this issue, Seal, is trying to figure this out. So now it looks like it is bio parents. However, plans still haven't been pulled together because they're still trying to, and I don't want to go too deep into this because we are on a 3-day weekend and stuff like that, but that has to be organized still because she's still the ward of the state and there's still communication, and I'll follow up with that. Okay, I want to give 3-day weekend chance to communicate and all that, but right now there's no plans right now because they're still trying to figure out how to go about all this. And that's when you as a mother or father are having to worry about, okay, losing your child that you love. And both mom and dad loved this little girl. Both of them fought to get this little girl back. Okay, mom got clean. She got a full-time, okay, she got her job where she had money coming in, insurance, all those things, and then went to go fight to get her back. And no one really wanted to take that step forward because they know it's an uphill battle when you're going against the system. Dad, from what I even found, I don't know if it was this article or another one, but dad actually had gone so far as to go through a inspection of his house to get Geanna back and passed that. And when he asked for further, okay, now can I have my baby back? He was told that, well, you know what? We hear she's having behavioral issues right now. We need to deal with those behavioral issues before we have her come back to your house. Of course, I don't know about you guys. My question comes, many of you guys know as well as I do that this little girl did not see a doctor since she was, what, 8 years old? Something like that. Oh, I'm forgetting the exact date, but I mean, we're talking a long time. How is she getting help for those, okay, behavioral issues? Were there any, okay, therapy sessions? Were there anything like that that were going on? The problem is, will we actually find out what was being done? Because she should have been being reunited with family and all. As said here, from her family, her paternal side of the family, she did not get love. There was no protection for her. And how are you going to let a child live through all that for all these years? And now we want to be there and have her body so we can mourn her and show her that she's been loved. And all. So it's just infuriating. Okay, yeah. And you know what? I think you're right. Behavior issues many times do come from that being snatched from family and stuff like that. That is going to happen. My question still comes though, if this child was not getting any medical care or things like that, then how the hell are they working on solving that problem? They may have been. They honestly may have been. So that's what's going on with that. And I will let you know because I plan on being at her funeral. Okay, I plan on being at prayer vigils and all that because this little girl has, and her family has kind of wormed their way into my heart right now. I know her family is hurting. That's one thing I noticed on Wednesday when we did the walk was how much her Ohana, her family that she didn't even get to spend time with, came together to support each other and all. So moving on to the thing I really wanted to discuss with you, because when I came across this morning, it blew my mind, guys. And guys, yes, this is Hawaii. I know this is Hawaii, but I guarantee you this is happening across the country. This is not just Hawaii. Okay, you can see I was reading this. And okay, John Hill is a writer for Civil Beat. He has been involved with the foster care system and investigations and trying to be there to support the children and all for years. he has been speaking on Honolulu Civil Beat about cases for years too. He was involved in Peter Kemma, Ariel's case. All these cases he has known very closely. He's been able to see what works, what doesn't work. And so when I woke up this morning, I opened up Civil Beat to see if there were any news articles that had just come out, and I came across this one that came out this morning, actually. I want to go through this because this is not just another update about this is what happened to Geanna or anything. This is taking that next step. And I really, really need you guys to talk with me about this. Okay, let me know what you think is going on, because I'm going to keep this going now. Well, actually, I might have to shut it down, but let's see. Let's end the poll now and see what's going on with the question that I asked earlier about change. What do you think would be the best first change to the system? I asked that question. Okay, let's see if the question popped up. No, question is not popping up in my chat history. But 58% of you are saying aftercare and visits. Having people go in and check these children out, 24 votes. Okay, check on these kids, make sure that they're still doing well. And even if adopted, make sure they're doing well. 25% feel we need to address homeschooling and the system. Again, homeschooling, not bad, but there is a small minority that use homeschooling for bad reasons. We saw this in Ariel's case. We've now seen it in Geanna's case. 16% said address those who do it for the money. We know in Geanna's case, her family, legal guardians, were getting close to $10,000. Okay, 10,000. Okay, quite a lot of money, not that much. Okay, for her each month. Basically, you don't have to work when you got 2 children in your house like this, to be honest. And so who is using it for the money? Not that giving money is bad, but how do you balance all this out? So address that. And so let's go through this real quickly, and I'm going to keep an eye in chat if there's any comments as we go through this. Okay, there's cute little Geanna. You can even see here with this picture, everyone's noticed this. You can tell Geanna had injuries at this time. Okay, you can see the redness over her eye here. You can see other things with her that you're like, this is not, something's happened, whether it was an accidental or whatever. Cristola said, and what I mean by do it for the money is make sure they have sufficient before taking in. Yeah. Because if someone has absolutely zero money coming in, okay, and then start adopting, are they literally adopting as a way to start bringing in, or fostering or whatever, bringing in money as their number one reason? And so Seal said, yeah, sad little eyes. You can see into her eyes. Okay, she was abused. Every day was hell for this little girl. Okay, Crystal, I know that doesn't seem realistic, but let's not let kids be, stay out of work hard. I agree. If you can't support it, it should be like the same way that you want to take care of your own kids. Okay. So it's now been a month since the appalling death of Geanna Bradley, the 10-year-old Wahiwa girl who was tortured, bound with duct tape, and starved, allegedly at the hands of her legal guardians. And though the public can't expect to have all the answers by this time, once again, very troubling questions about how this could have happened are going unanswered. Okay, and like I said, this guy has worked with Ariel's case. He worked with Peter Kemma's case. Okay, he knows these cases. It's not surprising. In the case of Ariel Sellers, the 6-year-old girl renamed Isabella by her adoptive parents, accused of killing her, many questions remain unanswered 2.5 years later. That is why Wednesday we will be there, and we will be saying these records need unsealed. We need answers. Okay, it's not about, okay, fix it all right away. Let's get the answers so we can start looking at fixing. It's not about blame. It's not about fault. It's about, we need to find out what's going wrong. Readers have been asking what they can do to prevent this from ever happening again. I believe the best answer is transparency. Amen. Right there. A full public airing of what went wrong in both the Ariel and Geanna case. And I agree with that, gang. I completely agree with that. I mean, we looked at Harmony's case where they had a full 104 page document where they looked at what went wrong. But we're not getting anything right now. Canine, I'm confused why someone gets money for adopting. When I had a kid, no one paid me, so why should? Yeah. And what's sad, unfortunately, is the amount of pay is commensurate with age, sibling groups, and if there's any behavioral issues. So when you hear about Geanna not being able to go back to dad because of behavioral issues, well, did she actually have behavioral issues? We heard from one of her teachers that they didn't think she did. Okay, now that doesn't mean other teachers may feel differently. Or was it more of the fact that, well, you know what, we get a little extra money if there's behavioral issues. So let's say she's schizophrenic, which is exactly what her legal guardians did. And so yeah, in a guardianship, they get paid in the behavior. Yeah, exactly. And it's nuts. And each state is different. Some are paid for certain things, some aren't. That's where it's important to get to know your own state and what is going on within it. Okay. So let's see. So let's examine a few of the most pressing questions in the Geanna case, starting with a close look at the timeline of what happened after she died. Because again, we don't know anything from before. Almost none of that is really being shared with us. Okay, but we do know what's been happening since. Okay, nothing could be done for the girl at that point. She was gone. But one of the 5 children remaining in that house was a 4-year-old boy who had been adopted by Thomas and Brandy Bloss. The other 4 were the Blosses' biological children. Okay, the 4-year-old had been mistreated in almost unimaginable ways. The criminal complaint, okay, so the complaint itself that we read that one day, he was referred to by the initials AB, Alpha Bravo, and was found by a physician with expertise in child abuse to have, quote, global developmental delays and an extremely small stature, which is very likely due to psychosocial deprivation. They also mentioned malnutrition at one point too. He had been starved and abused, quote, as indicated by multiple bruises and scars. Though he was 4 years old, he had not seen a pediatrician since he was 8 months old. Police noted that he appeared very unsteady on his feet and walked more like a toddler in a disjointed fashion as if he was just learning how to walk. He had bruising on his lower and upper back, behind his ears, and on his arms. He had been scratched. He had what appeared to be a human bite mark on his right thigh. HPD investigators also retrieved a video of what appeared to be AB strapped in a car seat with what looked like vomit on his face. In other words, the child they saw after Geanna died and police were there and and all these things before the arrest and all that, that child that they saw at that time suffered from massive deprivation and abuse. Okay. Let me just ask you guys this right now. If you walked into a household and you saw something like that and you had the ability to pull a child out, to get them medical care, to do whatever in the world needed to be done, what would you have done? Okay, would you have taken them to the hospital? Would you have had a doctor's appointment? What would you have done? Okay, because that's what had to be done here. Geanna died on January 18th, but it was not until January 23rd, 5 days later, that he was hospitalized. 5 days. Keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. Court records do not indicate what happened during those 5 days, But given the severity of his condition, I have to ask the obvious. How could no one have noticed for 5 whole days? Guys, I'm not going to read it again, but go back 2 minutes on this. This whole list of everything they found. What was done for 5 days? I asked the Department of Human Services, what kind of screening is done when children are removed from a home after it's discovered that one of the children had been severely abused? So even if Geanna hadn't been killed, okay, what would have happened if you came in and you saw children like this? What kind of screening is done? What do you look at? Because on top of the physical stuff that they saw, I guarantee you this little boy had mental issues going on top of everything from seeing someone he considered his sibling from his whole life die. And K9 is, I can't even tell you how many people told me over the years that adopting a child would be easier than adopting a dog from you. Yeah. And that's what's so frustrating right now, is how easy it is for people. I mean, Ariel was adopted by 2 people who had issues, okay, criminal issues in the past, including her adopted father who had terroristic threatening and terroristic assault. Okay, it should not be that easy to have a child after this. I'm all for people making amends and becoming better, and I believe people can get better. I believe people can change. I truly do. And but someone needs to protect children. We need to be damn positive that they have changed before we put them in with a child. And so they go and ask that. The department said children placed in foster care must first have a physical exam. It's performed by a doctor who is not under contract with DHS, so doesn't have a relationship with DHS. Quote, a more thorough medical examination of the child is done typically within 1 month of placement, which includes a mental health evaluation. Okay, so sounds like 2 doctor's appointments. The first appointment is to, oh yeah, look at the West Boys. Yep, exactly, Christola. We can't forget the West Boys in California. Okay. When a child is put into foster care, they see a doctor who is not related or connected to DHS in any way first. Then about a month later, they see another doctor, okay, I suspect, who is under contract, maybe the second one. I may be wrong, but I kind of get the feeling on that one, for a more thorough. Okay, if not, if it isn't under contract, then I want to know, is this person certified in pediatrics? What are the different things there? That might be one of the keys. Are they being assessed by someone who is certified in pediatrics? And so that means a doctor somewhere examined this boy right after Geanna's body was discovered and cleared him to go right back into the foster care system. Okay. Why does this matter? Clearly, a child who has been through this kind of hell needs to get treatment and succor as fast as possible. Nutrition, succor, nutrition. Is the screening system working properly? And you would think that the authorities would want to get evidence right away while it was fresh. So what they're leaning towards here is it's important. This little boy, they had signs. Okay, he had signs of abuse, pretty bad abuse, at the time Geanna was found dead. Yet it was 5 days before anything was really followed up on with that. Okay, there should have been pictures. Anyone who's ever seen a child, like bruises change, things, okay, timing of things. Yes, you can still get some timing of stuff, but come on now. But here again, the timeline raises perplexing questions, because it was not until January 26th the police went to the hospital to observe and take photos of AB. So the 26th, okay? He was put into the hospital January 23rd. Geanna died the 18th. Okay, the 23rd, AB is put into the hospital. The 28th, is when the police finally got in there. And I've been very, very okay. The police did a great job at letting people know about Gianna and what was going on. I felt that okay. But even longer for them to get there and take pictures and look at what needed, okay, any potential abuse, which by the way, we know now they have been charged with abuse in his case too. And um let's see, where was I? Okay. So, unless there were earlier instances when HPD observed and took photos of AB, and if so, they are not mentioned in the court documents, how did it take a full 8 days after Gianna's death for this evidence to be gathered? Are Child Welfare Services and HPD communicating? Because the police aren't going to go over there. Did the police even know he was in the hospital at that time? When he was put into the hospital, okay, did anyone let the police know, oh, you know what, the 4-year-old is now in the hospital, so that the police may not have gotten there for a few days because maybe they didn't even know about it. We don't know the answer to that. What do we got here? As long as it's legal and you take care of kids because of it. Okay. What I'm getting at is, Loco, what was the, yeah. And you know what? Mom definitely had, okay, issues with drugs in the past. That's why Gianna was pulled away. And however, she also got clean. It's the same as Ariel. Ariel's mom had the same issues and then got clean. We talk about our goal in the system being reunification. Okay, I realize not all the time can children be reunified. That does happen. Okay, but if there's a chance, we need to be looking at ways of doing that. Okay. But yeah, exactly. So what is the communication going on with this? Maybe one hopes there's so much evidence that it won't matter much. I'm sure that there are HPD and CWS investigators who are as nauseated as the rest of us by what happened. I agree with that 100%. I think there are people all across, including CWS, who are really upset with this. And they're working very hard to make the case. But this timeline does not exactly instill confidence that everyone was working together to bring whoever committed these grotesque crimes to justice. See, this is what we talk about as quality assurance, as improving systems. It's not about saying, oh, bad CWS or bad HPD or something like that. It's about, okay, when did CWS let HPD know that this foster child was put back into the hospital? How long did that take before the checkup occurred, where they went in and got evidence? Because there is a criminal case going on in this. That's what we're talking about here. The picture, let me see, Cristola. I get it if it's hard drugs, but I'm just saying some things are, yeah. And you know what? That is something a lot of people talk about. Okay, is there a difference in pulling children away for various reasons? And my whole thing is this: even if they do, it comes down to reunification. And even in the case like right now, okay, we're hearing that possibly dad could have had her back, but was being told, oh, well, there's behavior issues. Well, then is there a way that maybe not getting her back, but starting to reintroduce relationships? That would have been great on any of the cases for mom to reintroduce if the goal was truly reunification. Canine, it wouldn't have been prudent for me to be a child advocate. Okay, it's hard to do. There you go. Sorry, and sorry if I'm missing a couple things from chat, gang. Okay. The picture painted in court documents is that Brandy and Thomas Bloss and Brandy's mother, Deborah Guerin, did all they could to isolate Gianna from the outside world where people might see evidence of the girl's severe abuse. And in my eyes, that's what they also did with the 4-year-old. 4-year-old, I don't think was even in school yet. I may be wrong, but my gut says, and guys, this 4-year-old has a mom and dad somewhere outside, biological mom and dad somewhere outside. They may not even know this is their child that they're hearing about right now. It sounds horrible to say this, but the only reason why he's safe right now is because of what happened to Gianna. It took that to get a 4-year-old safe. It shouldn't take that to get anyone safe. Um, but there were cracks in that prison, and that raises some other baffling questions. So, what you're seeing here, this is the first time that I've been able to share this out. This is the house where Geanna lived. Okay. This was lower right, Karsten Drive, and where they found, okay, in the lower right, the bigger house there, that is where Geanna lived and was found that morning without a heartbeat, no breath. Okay. And as we found out later, cold to the touch and starting to get stiff. And so that's the house. Yeah, Crystal, he didn't see a doctor for 3.5 years. Yeah, it looks like a compound. I will be honest with you guys. I may be wrong. I think this is probably multiple houses, just knowing Hawaii the way I do. My suspicion is, and I think you guys can see yeah, you can see it. Good. My suspicion is this is one house here. This is another house here. And then up here is a third house. Just with the way our houses are in Hawaii. Okay, especially in certain areas. That's my suspicion. I may be wrong about that, but I think that's what you're looking at right there. So click and go. Yeah, it's so nauseating. And it'd be easy for us all to shut up about this and not talk about it. That'd be what's easy. And if it's not being talked about, then we don't have to worry about it. But the problem is, how many of us shut up about this after Ariel? How many of us shut up about all this after Peter, after Fabian? Okay, I mean, it keeps, and that's just Hawaii names. Throw in the names from your own city and county or your own state. Okay, we have to keep it going. We have to keep talking. We have to, if we have a responsibility ourselves, guys, plain and simple. So on August 20th, 2020, for instance, police discovered messages between the Bloss couple. Thomas, it appears, was at the doctor's office with Geanna. So I suspect this might be the last time Geanna saw a doctor from what we're seeing so far. Quote, the messages were regarding whether or not the doctors could tell how injured she was, according to the criminal complaint. Brandy demanded to know what kinds of questions the doctor was asking. She advised her husband to, quote, just like pretend, act fatherly. So they knew back 2020, 3.5 years ago. Okay, they knew what was they knew what they were doing was wrong. They could have stepped up at any time and said, you know what, this is too much for us. You know what, okay, how many people say they can't take care of a foster child or something like that? Okay, it happens. And if they had done that, they would have actually probably saved her life, but no. Okay, a couple of us even have wondered, were they using her as a way to get there? And I don't even want to think of that, but you have to wonder. Yeah, Roberta, how can you not take kids to the doctor? Okay, they get sick, and yeah. I mean, if you look at it, Roberta, there were 6 kids in that household. Okay, 4 were bio, 2 were part of the system. Of the 4 bio, 2 of them, I think it was, had a gastrointestinal issue going on earlier in January. They took those 2 to the doctor. They got treatment for those 2. Geanna was sick too. They did not take her. So, doctors are mandated by law to report suspicions of abuse. So what happened there? What were Geanna's injuries? Was she already being abused so badly that there would have been other signs in addition to whatever she was being treated for that day? Did Thomas Bloss have a convincing cover story? Did he do a good job of acting fatherly? Or should someone have seen enough to arouse suspicions? And guys, that's why we need records open. Because we don't know the answer to that. At least I don't think we do. We'll find out if we do, and I missed it here. But like Ariel was seen by Shriners who reported it. They reported that this girl is being abused. We are worried about her future. And so was that done? Is this another case of that being done and nothing was followed up with or not followed up with in a correct way? And then there's the fact that Geanna was having monthly Zoom visits with a psychologist or psychiatrist. The court records use both titles. One of the bosses was with her at all of these 15-minute sessions. So this is how they got the diagnoses. Zoom, with someone sitting in the room with her. Okay. Of course, it is harder to detect physical abuse on a Zoom call, but this too presents the tantalizing possibility that Geanna could have said something or exhibited behaviors that would have raised the alarm. Personally, in my eyes, guys, I understand Zoom during lockdown. I do. I get it during lockdown. But in a case like this, it needs to be face to face. Okay, and in all honesty, especially at the age she was, why is one of the adults in there with her? I think she's old enough to be able to speak for herself. Okay, and answer questions. Were all the questions that were being answered by her or being answered by one of the adults that took her? And so questions I'd love to see the answer to, because those answers lead us to the solutions. Okay, perhaps the various mandated reporters just could not see it because the perps were so good at hiding it. True, very true. If so, they no doubt feel sick about it now. But it sure would help the public understand this case to know more about these rare contacts between Geanna and people outside the family. In 2018, let's see, K9 just said, instead of having caseworkers do home checks, maybe they should have RNs or doctors do them. That's a good idea. Maybe mix it up at times. Well, you mix it up too much, you don't get consistency, which I think is important. But I think the psychosocial is as important as the physical. How do you find the balance between the two? Okay. In 2018, family court judge Audrii Cunningham appointed the Blosses to be Geanna's legal guardians. What recommendations did Cunningham have from Geanna's court-appointed representative, probably a guardian ad litem, the CWA's social worker assigned to the case, and others involved in the case? Now, guys, this is another reason why the CASA program is so important. If you're part of the CASA program, you're being assigned to these children while they're in that part of the setup, getting set up for adoption or all these, okay, the different levels, whether it be foster, you're there during that, I don't know for sure, but I think even legal guardianship, it's not until permanent placement that you're pulled away. A CASA could have spoken up at that point. And Seal, yes, their bio children are suffering too. Imagine what they saw and what they were made to keep secret. That's why I stand by that. Yes, we're seeing abuse charges on, okay, AB and Geanna. I think there's psychological and mental abuse going on with the other four. Those four will, depending on their ages, of course, always know that their sibling died. And as they get older and start understanding more and more, they're going to have to deal with that their whole life. And we've seen what that does to children. CWA has disclosed that it received no reports of abuse about Geanna after the Blosses became legal guardians. But it seems very probable that both Geanna and AB were being fostered by the Blosses before they became respectively legal guardians and adopted parents. If that's so, then CWS possesses copious records of the screenings that were done of the Bloss household before the placements, as well as monitoring that they're required to do while the kids were in foster care. In the case of AB, that would have been just a couple years ago. Okay, we're not talking about forever and ever and ever ago. This little boy was fairly recently adopted. I know from experience that CWS will not produce those records for the public or the media without someone, the legislature, Governor Josh Green, maybe even the federal department. And that's where, guys, we need people from across the country helping out with this. Maybe even the federal department that oversees state child welfare agencies, forcing them to. In Hawaii, privacy is used as a reason not to share these records, these screenings, because of the privacy of the child. That's why, okay, hopefully it will get released a little bit more because of the fact that Geanna is no longer with us. But even in Ariel's case, we've been asking, and not getting an answer until finally people had to say, okay, we're filing to have these unsealed. You're going to have to answer one way or another here now. And yes, people say, what can we do? Okay, we speak up. It's like the mayor said the other day when we were talking to him. Thank you, by the way, Seal, for that amazing picture. I love that picture. He doesn't have, jurisdiction over changing these rules. Okay, he's city and county. He can't change these rules. But he can speak. He can say what he believes and what he feels. Hey, how you doing, my dear? Mwah. Welcome, welcome. He can speak up. He can say, yes, I can't change CWS, but I can say these are things we need to look at. We need to have a solution. So every one of us have the ability to speak up and say these things. As it says here, okay, the federal department that oversees. Well, you know what? If people from Hawaii push hard enough, if those of you from other states push hard enough, they will step up. Or maybe a judge will do it. And that, if you click onto that little link right there, okay, we go to the other thing from earlier, talking about how on Wednesday, we have filed to have Ariel Sellers' adoption records and foster care records unsealed. If no one else is going to do it, then you know what? A judge is going to have to do it. And that will be happening 7:30 in the morning on Wednesday. I am hoping to do another live like I did the other day. It won't be a walk. It's going to be a lot of us just, well, I don't even know how many it is. I'm hoping it's a lot. But as Devon and all said, you get, I hate to put it there, and even here, guys, I'm going to say this right now. Earlier, when we were talking about the more popular cases and all, you have a huge number. Then over time, we go to these smaller cases, and we've got 9 right now, guys. This is about making the changes. It's not about reading what's going to happen and what the case, okay, who did what, and let's build a case and let's try to figure out who did what to who or anything like that. That's not what this case is about right now. This case is about making the changes. I literally am talking with mom and dad right now who are having to mourn a child that they wanted and could never get. Okay, who they're now trying to figure out how can we bury, and they can't get the answers to that. Who are trying to collect enough money to be able to do this. And you guys can help. You guys here are the amazing ones. Yeah, put me in chunk mode. There we go, chipmunk mode. And we have to speak up for these kiddos. If we don't do it, gang, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? It's not, I wish Devon made the comment, and I'm hoping to have Devon actually on this channel with his brother at some point in the near future. He made the comment, we asked him about changing laws and stuff, and he actually said it's not about changing laws at this point. He said what it is about getting people as irate and being part of the solution. He says you look at Black Lives Matter, you look at all of these nationwide movements and stuff like that that have thousands of people showing up on the streets and all that. And yet you have a rally for a child or for the foster system, which affects thousands and thousands and thousands of children. And you're lucky if you get 10 to 20 people there. You're lucky you can fill up a chat room, because unfortunately, it's not where all the energy is. I mean, you go to the Black Lives Matter or any of the, you guys can list out all the different names. I'm not picking on Black Lives Matter. I'm picking on these big, okay, the ones that everyone wants to jump in on and all. There's excitement in those. Okay, people love the excitement of those things. Is there going to be a fight? Is there going to be this? Is there going to be that? Is there going to be news there? Is there all those things? And that's why Devon said, until we can get 50 or 100 people showing up routinely, and then 200, then 300 showing up at these things, why is the system ever going to look at making the changes that need to be made? I mean, if no one's pushing for the changes, why should they put all the energy into it? Think in your own. I'm not going to. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. My brother and I were joking about this the other day. Here we are in Hawaii. We're trying to get laws passed to change the system, to tighten it up and things like that. Can't get that done. But in Hawaii, we just passed stuff to make sure that there are tampons in every single bathroom for every single sex. Sorry, I'm not trying not to get political here, but I'm like, what about making sure that these kids who can't speak up for themselves are taken care of, and we don't lose another one? We don't have to add another kid's name to it. I'm sorry, I don't want to get political on those things, but I'm going to say it this time, because you know what? I think those kids matter just as much as having something in my bathroom. And so Al caught it. And but guys, that's where we have to, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here. Y'all are the ones who are there all the time. Y'all are the ones who will make sure to speak up. You're going to share things. You're going to go research things. You're going to go, okay, earlier, Click and Go Boots is out, books is out there, boots on the ground themselves, trying to make sure that what is done is what's done, right? What is done right. Okay. We got to do this, gang. I'm sorry. And I'm going to keep talking about all of these cases. Okay, Hawaii, I'm right here. Hopefully we can start making some changes here, because this article here, John's comment, okay, I mean, we got to change it. We got to make these changes. I mean, go to Honolulu Civil Beat. They do such an amazing job with reporting, and I guarantee you, every one of you guys have your version of the Honolulu Civil Beat. That one website that reports everything the way it needs. Okay, fair. Whether it's negative, positive, whatever, it's fair. And there it is, all right there. Now, who asked about Lahaina? And that, Seal, that's my thing. I can't. I started this Missing Mondays to have a new story every Monday, a new person that no one knew about, or very few people knew about. Today I had to make a decision. Do I do that again? I can't look at Gianna's face. I can't look at Audrii right now, Ariel, without speaking up. And so it was K9. Awesome. It was K9. Awesome. I think K9's still in the house. And so yeah, I have to do it. And that's why we're doing it. So, okay. There's a lot going on right now. What we got from K9. It takes loud voices and screaming at judges to get action. Yeah. Oh yeah, from animal abuse. Yeah. And it's sad that it takes this, but you know what? Over time, every movement has to start small. You got to start small and then it builds from there. And it'll build for sure. So to answer Canine's questions about the fires, first of all, if you're really interested in in-depth stuff, please go over to the Honolulu Civil Beat. They have done a great job at sharing out real information and not just hit or miss. They're sharing stuff like here, okay, concerns about FEMA, okay, and people not taking it. I know a couple of the big issues that we're having right now is a lot of, for so long we were told right after the fires, don't go to Maui. Don't go to Maui. Don't be okay. It's just they've got too much to deal with right now. Don't go to Maui. It's changed. Go to Maui. We need you in Maui. Maui depends on tourism heavily. Hawaii in general, without tourism, our economy does not connect in the way it needs to. I'll be honest. Tourism is key to our economy. So in Maui, you literally have no one visiting now. And the problem is they can't hire new waitresses, housekeepers, okay, janitors, people running hotels, things like that. All of those positions can't be hired out right now because no one's coming to visit. So that's probably one of the biggest things we're starting to see now, is that we really need as many people as possible visiting the island. Okay, not islands, island. Yes, we still need you visiting Oahu, Big Island, Kauai, and all that. But Cristola, you're the best. You're the best. No, I know where your emotions go with it too, and that's fair. That's fair. Okay, all of us, our emotions on all these things are real. Okay. Is it slowly building back? Yes, it is going to slowly build back. It's going to take a long time. I'll quickly over a couple of the no, you don't need to be sorry, Cristola. Never. Okay, we're a lot of it is just keeping things in the public eye. Because as I said from the get-go, when you had all these people talking about the millionaires buying property and stuff like that, I kept saying, it's going to be okay as long as we keep holding people responsible to what they say. Okay, and not just disappear. It's the same thing as children. You got to hold people responsible for the change. And on as long as we do that, we're going to be good. We are having some interesting things popping up out of this. For example, one of the things that came out of this was HECO, our electric company. You remember all the discussion about turning off the electrical lines in high winds and stuff like that? Well, they changed their emergency response plan to turn off all electrical power if electricity winds go over a certain place. Well, recently on my island in the area of Kailua, that happened. And the winds got pretty bad. They shut down all power because of that. And I will be honest, many people were like, what the hell? Okay, it's like, you know what? Wait, I've got my mom here on this isn't me, but one of the comments I read, I got a mom who's on oxygen and I've got this, and people who, okay, had not powered up batteries or things like that. And people were a little frustrated because they're like, it was nothing even like what was happening over on Maui. So I think they're going to have to kind of come back and revisit that and figure out where is the balance, because I think they may have gone too far overboard on the shutdown procedures. So they got to figure that part out. Other than that, let me see here, just to clean up has been frustrating. Yeah, getting money in, getting the to be able to kind of be able to support tearing things down, stuff like that. What is the future of Maui going to look like West Maui. Again, remember this was West Maui, not all of it. Yeah, Christola, we are, yeah, surrounded by water, but this happens. And they're really, they have been looking at a lot of different things. I don't want to bring in Illuminati. Hey girl. And okay, I'm trying to see here. I do know that I think everyone who was missing has been I don't know if it was identified or what, but something came out about that recently. Let me see here. I'm just trying to do a real quick rundown. I did not prepare for this, so I'm just doing this real quick. Yeah, the funds for the donations and stuff we're trying to keep an eye on, because there were some issues that happened at one point where some of that money was stolen at one time. Some actual physical money had been put in, say, and yeah, there were some pretty bad things there, but all that seems to be working its way out. Let's see here. Where else are we got? Property, a lot of different. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Taking a look at the evacuation, because we know the evacuation was a mess from it. But see, guys, this is exactly what I talk about with our children and the system. They look through that. We get a report saying this is what happened. This is what did not work. This is what worked. We're not getting that for Geanna. We're not getting that for Ariel. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, February 13. Fire death toll rises to 101 after police identify remains of missing person. I think that might have been one of the last people. Okay, yeah, are continuing. Okay, there's 2 more people left that they were looking for. So yeah, so hopefully that gives you a little bit more of a, I mean, I can do, if people are interested, I can do a full force after type live, and we can go through everything. If people are interested, let me know. Let's see, K9. I'm shocked you people were both. Oh yeah, well, what happened is I forget all the story, because all these things have been coming in piecemeal for me over the months. There was one time that we had a bunch of items that were stolen. I think some of it, yeah, there's people who will go in, you know what, no matter where you are, you run into assholes, okay, who don't care what, sorry, the dogs just noticed mom coming over. And there's assholes, and they're like, oh, I deserve this more than the people who need it. And it wasn't the big funds. And this is why I told people, be careful about the smaller funds. Okay, not that the smaller funds weren't good. They are good. Okay, many times they get right to the person, but usually you don't have as much protection behind them. So for example, when people went out and bought a bunch of stuff, and they had it sitting in their backyard area, someone came in at night and wiped it all out. Okay, so you run into those types of things. Yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of changes, a lot of things going on. I know the missing person group for Hawaii, we had for quite a while there. It was taken over because of Lahaina. Now it's kind of gotten back to being about people who've gone missing rather than missing due to the fire. Click and Go just said, my in-laws went to Grand Lahaina on their vacation many years ago. They were shocked. Yeah, it's, that was one of my favorite places to go. We would go on cruises. We stayed in the area multiple times, but I remember we would go on cruises a lot, inter-island cruise, because my dad had to have dialysis, and that was one of the greatest ways we could do vacations, because we would go off visiting the island while dad would go do dialysis, since it was in the state. And whenever we got to Lahaina, there was the shopping center there, and I love that shopping center. And they had a place that would do the henna tattoos. So we would, every single time we would have henna tattoos. Okay. And it was so much fun. We'd sit there, we'd get the henna tattoo done. And I mean, it was just the greatest. And to know that that place isn't there, it's never going to be the same, no matter what. That area is never going to be. And we expect that kind of on the Big Island, guys. Big Island with the volcano, you kind of expect, okay, Madame Pele, Mother Nature, etc., to come in and rewrite the landscape. But you don't think about Lahaina. I never thought we would lose Lahaina. And so, Canine, I didn't think they would let items come over from other countries or even the states because of the strict. We ran into problem. They were allowing things to come in to the state, into Lahaina and all, but they kind of stopped it, and they tried to stop it at least, because what was happening is people were sending things that were not necessarily what was needed. It was overwhelming certain areas. I mean, think about during that time getting literally airplane load worth of, okay, diapers, generators, whatever, you name it, whatever it was. It was just crazy. So that's why even here, at first they were doing drive-by donation spots. And we were told, okay, just go by, drop off. This is the list of things they need and all that. And we were doing it as church groups, all that, and just driving by, dropping it off. At one point, they finally shut that down, even because they were like, you know what? I think what we need more at this point is the financial help. And then we can go out and buy what is needed. We can decide, okay, we need to buy this many generators. We need to buy this many things of toilet paper or canned food or whatever it was, because it just, the logistics were ridiculous at that point. And also, they're definitely going to have to restore from the ground up. The whole place is restored from ground up. The thing is keeping the feel of it, not turning it into another big Waikiki. Because see, the thing is, Maui, other than Oahu, I would say Maui is the next best place, a largest resort area. Big Island is a great place to visit, but it's more nature based visiting. You're going to go up, okay, Mauna Loa, you're going to go up the volcano to Kilauea, things like that. You're going to go up into the volcanoes. You're going to go to Volcano National Park. You're going to do things like that. Maui was Resortville. That's where all the resorts, okay, where you want to go if you want to lay out at the beach all the time. And I know that's where a lot of the concerns were. Is it going to turn into Lahaina Resort Central? And Sleuth Mom, they are rebuilding. I actually, Canine asked for an update, so I'm trying to work my way through that. And if there's enough interest, we'll actually do a follow-up live sometime on this where I can really look into it more in depth. They are rebuilding. Okay, Lahaina will be back. A lot of it is here. Let me pull this one back here so you guys can see where we are. I bet Crystal, I know you, girl. Okay, where they're actually going through and trying to figure out what does Lahaina need to look at. Like here, Lahaina was different than the rest. Okay, the other areas had more of your Haole centers. Okay, Haole being me, white. Okay, there you had a much more local, okay, Asian base. It was a different profile of a town. And let me see here. Wire, okay, yeah. That was a biggie. Property cleanup has become a frustrating waiting game. Now this was February. Oh wow, this was yesterday actually. This will be interesting to read what this one has. Beyond Lahaina, some lawmakers want a new development plan for all of West Maui. Because see, the thing with, okay, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so here is your Maui thing. You got East Maui, which is over this way, then West Maui. And with West Maui, you have where Lahaina was, then you have more north, okay, side of West Maui. And that's where a lot of the resorts are. So that's interesting on its own. I might actually go and read that article myself because I don't want to. This is just me without knowledge talking about it right now. I want to see the money going towards rebuilding Lahaina, not necessarily rebuilding the whole island or half of the island. Now, don't get me wrong, the fires did affect areas that were not Lahaina. They did. Okay, and that did get, in fact, to be honest, we were very close to losing Kaanapali. Okay, there were other areas that we were very close to losing. And so, Crystal, well, Lahaina will be back under the people. I had somebody tell me the other day, I was, and you know what? As long as the people keep speaking up and reminding everyone, I think they'll be fine. Okay, civil beats keeping them here. The other thing here, I'll show you guys this one right now, just to show you, because this all ties to what I was saying about speaking up, being an advocate, not just listening to the stories and the cases, but doing something about them. Okay, Hawaii News Now still has their whole section for the Maui wildfires. Okay, so as long as these things continue happening, Maui will rebuild. Okay, and hopefully it will be exactly what it's meant to be, because they're being held responsible for what is going on. Let's see what they have here. We are still in crisis. 1,500 families believed to have left Maui. That's scary right there. Okay, to lose 1,500 families on one of our islands, that's a huge chunk of the population. And part of that, guys, is connected to how I started with this discussion here. Maui is running into problems now because we don't have enough tourism coming in. They were told for so long, stay away from Maui, stay away from Maui, let them heal, let them rebuild, things like that. No, they can't rebuild unless you get people there. So you've got the locals saying, please come out, please come out. The story they put out, I'm not believing, I'm sorry, but I don't believe a lot of the conspiracy theory side of it, because I do know how it happened. I think there were a lot of major screw ups that led up to this. I think this was a perfect storm. I truly feel this was a perfect storm. And so let me see here. $15,000 hotel bill for Mount. That was a huge thing right here. There was actually one evacuee, okay, had a $15,000, okay, housing, okay, hotel bill for when they were there. New system for property to access this. So we're starting to let people come on in. I know I'm bad. I know a lot of people believe in those. And I think mainly because I know how the island works with its weather and with the grasses and stuff like that. I could actually work it. And no, we're never going to know. A lot of this we probably never will. Okay. But yeah. Let's see here. What else is here? If I see anything. See, permanent Maui wildfire debris dump site narrowed down to 3 locations now. So here, with 600 animals in their care, many from the burn zone, Maui shelter pleads for help. So there's areas that still need the help. And actually, maybe it's time for me to find out what areas are still needing help and advertise. Okay, help get that out to you guys, because I do know the animal areas are big. Oh yeah, this was a big issue. Okay, where even you guys remember when my power kept going out? A lot of this is being connected, they're saying, to what happened then. It's really frustrating right now. All 100 people confirmed killed in Lahaina disaster were identified. However, if you go a little further down here, they're saying there's 2 more left. So mental health concern. Where was the plus 1 more? Identifies 1 more victim. So they thought it was at 100, but nope, there are some others they're still finding. So yeah, so a lot of changes. We're just keeping, but this is what's important. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos pledged $100 million for Maui relief. Where did that money go? That would be an interesting thing to take a look at. I would love to read that. I might go watch that video later. And also, but to me again, as long as we keep seeing Honolulu Civil Beat, okay, all these Hawaii News Now, KHON, all them have Let's see if KHON has theirs. KHON, let's see. Do they have their wildfire areas still up? To me, as long as those are up, we are still holding people responsible for what's going on. And that's what's important there. Let's see here. Yeah, we've had a couple murders here recently. They're just crazy. Let's see. I don't actually see I saw it on their app the other day, but I do not see their area anymore, which is interesting. Kapuna, yep, they got rid of theirs. Oh no, they're Hawaii fires. So hopefully that, oh no, but they're doing all fires. They turned it into all fires rather than just Maui now. So, interesting. Thanks for bringing this up, Canine. I've kind of been watching little things here or there, but I haven't really gone in depth. Okay, to see really deeply what's going. We did have the Aloha Run today, as you can see here, 12,000. I ran that a couple years ago. I should have done it today, but I'm too lazy. And they raise money that later on really did help with things. So they had 12,000 runners. That was the most fun I ever had running that thing. Oh my God, I was so tired, but it was one of the most fun I've ever had. So, yeah, it's 8.15 miles. And you start off in Waikiki by the Aloha Tower, and you end up running into Aloha Stadium, which is, so you got to run past Pearl City, all that, Pearl Harbor and all. And you've got people lined up the whole way. Okay, just cheering you on and stuff it was so fun. So, but anyhow, wrap this whole thing up because we've gone 2 hours, much longer than I normally do and all that. However, I did want to cover not only Audrii, guys, the stuff with Geanna, this is just part of an overarching issue that we've got to address. We've got to look at it. And Wednesday, I'll be there. We will be live. Just so you guys know, this is 7:30 in the morning, Hawaii. And if you guys know me, I'm barely asleep by 7:30 in the morning. So, Kate, I made 2 pairs of earrings. Yes, I got to work on diamond painting tonight. In fact, but 7:30 in the morning will be noon East Coast. So 12:30 Eastern time, we will be going live for this. I don't know how many will be there. It's not going to be walking, but we'll be there. We'll be talking. We'll be, okay, please come there, help support. Because again, it's not just me talking about it, Sleuth talking about it, PJ talking about, all those who talk, okay, Mal talking about these things. Okay, it's also how many people share these things out so that people realize this is important to more than just a couple of us. This needs to change. We need to be looking at not just Hawaii, but everywhere. And what do we have here? Let's see. What are we talking about? No, I haven't seen it. Have you seen the big blue? Oh, yep. We'll be covering all those things. So keep an eye out for that. And hopefully we'll have the great news that they are unsealing the files. That's what I'm hoping, is everything will be unsealed. So, but I'll update you on that case and of course Geanna's, because that's going to happen. So love each and every one of you. Sorry, I just realized I talked about dear Ariel and did not change the picture out. And also please say a prayer tomorrow night that the judge decides to release and unseal those records. So love each and every one of you. I will talk to y'all later. I hear my bird whistling for me in the other room. She must have just heard me say what I did. So love each of you, and I will talk to y'all later. Aloha, mahalo. Love you guys.